The shared characteristics between photography and stained glass is what happens when the light strikes them to reveal the work's true nature. Sarah Ciurysek explores that juxtaposition in Through and Through, which is currently on display at the Platform Center for Photographic and Digital Arts on Arthur Street in the Exchange District. Sarah joins us in the Classic 107 studios to tell us more. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
What first caught your eye about stained glass as a medium?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I have worked in photography for many years, and sometimes I work in other mediums also, video, audio, sometimes textiles or text. But so I like to, find the right solution for whatever project that I'm working on, what message I'm trying to convey. But photo is my core medium and the medium that I'm always returning to and working in relation to. So when I was drawn to stained glass was when I realized that the two mediums, as you said, share this relationship with light, that photo is writing with light, like that's the translation photography. And stained glass, of course, needs light to activate it, to make it come alive. And when I saw that connection, I started thinking, oh, this is wonderful conceptually. What can I do with this beautiful, rich connection?
So then, in addition to trying to figure out what you can do with that connection, I'm sure maybe it comes also, how do I do that connection? What's the process of learning to work with stained glass for you when it comes to Through and Through and making it work alongside of the photography?
Yeah, again, great question, because stained glass is not very common in the contemporary art scene.
Yeah.
And so in a way there was, definitely unfamiliar and some kind of strangeness at first for me about it. But on the other hand, it can be very easy to learn because we have a fantastic glass studio here, Prairie Studio Glass, that they have a whole host of courses that they're very good at offering and teaching. So after I realized that connection, and I was actually there was a delay, which I won't get into yet, but a delay of a year or two before I actually took an introductory class myself. And so, I went to the Glass Studio in Sargent and took a course and thought, this is, I can do this. And working sculpturally is so different than working photographically. So it was, a really new, exciting, bizarre experience.
When it comes to stained glass and our images of it, I'm sure people are thinking of like these big, gorgeous European style cathedrals or chapels or things of that nature. Now that I know that you learned to work with stained glass in the West End, of all places, here in Winnipeg, what do you think is distinctive about making stained glass here in Manitoba that maybe if you had gone to Italy or to other or to France or other places that use this so deeply as part of their culture, what do you think you learned about making stained glass here in Winnipeg that adds to Through and Through?
Yeah, thanks for that. And actually, it connects back to what I was just referring to with this delay. So I was starting to think about stained glass and what that could add to my practice. And then right after that, I actually went to Belgium for 6 months. So part of my family is Belgian. And I was laughing to myself at the time because I was thinking, oh, now I'm surrounded, by this amazing the historical European stained glass. But yet I felt much more limitation in terms of me learning it. Of course, I probably could have found a place, a glass studio that would have taught me there, but I felt barriers to that. So it was a strange timing of here I'm leaving. I knew I could take the courses in Winnipeg. So here I was in Europe, like seeing it all over the place, but not able to access it really myself. And actually, I worked with an artisan who made some glass for me. So that was my beginning. But anyway, when I came back to Winnipeg, I was just so grateful that I could finally get my hands on it and learn it myself. And so the Winnipeg piece for me, I'm from Alberta originally, and I have lived and studied in Vancouver and Montreal and Sweden and New York. I've been in a lot of different places and experienced arts communities in many different places. When I moved to Winnipeg, it was immediately very obvious that the arts community here is very different than the other ones I've experienced. It's a much warmer community. It's a very supportive one where artists help one another and help emerging artists get a leg up. So I really see, especially also through my teaching, I see that younger artists or just newer artists, they can get further faster. And it's wonderful to see. Anyway, that's how what happened for me with the glass.
Amazing.
Sorry, so long-winded.
Not at all. Not at all. The other element of this, it seems, is when you talk about wind, the other big element that I see in this is the forestscapes that make up both the photography and the stained glass elements. What is it about that part of nature with the wind rustling through the trees and then captured in these different ways that also captured these artistic sensibilities in multiple mediums for you?
Well, I don't actually typically work with the wind. I made a project a few years ago that was called, or is called, Charms for the Wind, Water, Earth, and Fire. So that project was quite specific and a one-off. And I'll just give some context. I was invited to be a part of an exhibition called Planet Love at Gallery Buehler Gallery. And because that exhibition was so directly about celebrating and protecting our environment, it's something that's always important to me, but because of that focus for the exhibition, I wanted to make something that was even more kind of environmentally sound, I guess I would say. And so I had started working with stained glass by that point, but I was quite early on. But I had enough offcuts. I had these pieces of glass that were the extras from other pieces. And so I decided to make a project that was completely with, leftovers. So leftover glass and then also some elements from the natural world. So I made a kind of a charm bracelet. And the thing is, I needed that piece to be outside. I thought this is a project about nature. It's an indoor gallery, of course, but the gallery looks onto a small park type setting outside of the St. Boniface Hospital. And I thought, not only do I want to get that piece outside, but it will then other audiences can interact with it, people outside the hospital. So I made this, charm bracelet to kind of adorn the trees, and then the wind could pick up the charms that were the wishes that I have for the environment and carry them out.
Sure. So it's interesting also to think about when with stained glass, so much a part of architecture, human creation. How does something as contrived is the wrong word, but manufactured, made maybe, as stained glass, how does that reflect that sort of twisting, vining, natural sensibility of the forest? In other words, how do you capture that natural essence to be a part of something like glass?
That's a really rich question. There does seem to be a paradox or something that just it doesn't kind of go together, because the glass is very made and structured, and I'll just pause there, because there are some architectural connections where I can think of the forest as a type of architecture, and glass and doorways and other architectural references that are in my work. But I think what's perhaps more relevant is that I'd address the show. It really is about light, and so there's that connection to photo again. But I wanted to evoke the sun dappling that happens in forests. So it's about the light in forests, and for me that's the link. So it's the glass and the projection of light through the glass, because all the glass basically is green. So when the light goes through it and you see this green, and the light is shifting in the exhibition and moves, it's meant to evoke that sun dappling, and hopefully for viewers to have that same feeling that they would have, that kind of magic and awe, perhaps. Good feeling anyway that they'd have in a forest.
I would believe it.
Hopefully.
Sure. The installation of something like this also, I'm sure, takes a lot of great care and a lot of support from not just the folks at the Platform Center, but the community around you. How have the people of Winnipeg, to say nothing of how they taught you how to make stained glass, how have the people that you interact with in your creative life supported how you have captured this forestscape in this sun-dappled way?
I definitely feel that I've had a lot of support, as you say, from the people who've taught me and given me advice all along the way in terms of their glass expertise. But the gallery staff were very supportive, throughout the exhibition. But also people. So I worked with a lighting company, so that brought in these special lights that could be programmed to make the lighting shift, as I mentioned. And at one point, I'm just thinking of when we were installing this wall of glass, and it's made of modular components. So like piece by piece, we're putting it together. And at one point, it was so difficult. We'd hit this stumbling block, and we just did not have enough hands between mine, the wonderful platform gallery staffs. We just had all their hands, and then the lighting company people, they joined in too, and I'm still so grateful that they were willing because, at any moment the glass might have broken.
Yeah.
And I thought, that was nice that they were willing to just get in there and help, even with the risk.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people just physically put that wall together.
Right. So there's a lot of people also that you've interacted with in the time since Through and Through has been installed. How have you noticed that this exhibition has maybe changed the way that you interact with the community around you? In other words, the creative light that comes from you, how are you seeing it maybe refracted in different ways as you interact with people in the community?
Well, it's nicely put. Well, I'm really happy that I have been able to interact with different people, different types of people, or just different audiences with having a show. Because I teach at the University of Manitoba, I'm interacting with a lot of people already, and that's wonderful. But, to see other audiences or other demographics come into one's exhibition and to hear their feedback, it's very generative. They've given me so many other ideas, which is generous, and I'm grateful for. But it's also, of course, just so wonderful to see when you want to make a contribution and you are, having an exhibition, and then you see other people responding to it or receiving that contribution. It's not quite the right word, but it's
Sure.
It's wonderful. That's why you make work, right?
Well, and responding to you as well as a person as you're out in the world, even in the past week, to be able to see how something like Through and Through can help you respond to the world around you. So there's plenty that is being, again, I'm going to use the word refracted, it seems like, as this creative force is fixed in the Platform Center, but also as it moves to the world through your artistry. Through and Through is on display at the Platform Center for Photographic and Digital Arts in the Exchange District until November the 15th. We'll have more information about this at our website, classic107.com, and on the Classic 107 app. Sarah Ciurysek, it's been so wonderful having you here in our studios today, and I'm so grateful for the chance to speak with you as well.
Thank you so much. You've asked such wonderful questions. I just want to say, to send a big thank you to the staff at Platform, Megan Elizabeth Diamond and Zoe Lebrun. They've been amazing. And I'd also like to give a special shout out to a new friend that I met yesterday, Jacob Hensel, brave kid who I'm really happy to have met. Thanks so much, Nolan.
Thank you.